Hey guys, I'm Sarah Gonzalez, and then this is my presentation, the 5 E's in a dual language classroom, science classroom, and then this is beat 4312. So quick recap about the 5 E's. You got your engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate. Overall, what are the 5 E's? The 5 E's are just like a framework or a method that a teacher can use to help create inquiry. This allows the student to learn in a more structural and gradual way. It also makes it more fun. If you were to compare it to just handing the students worksheets and stuff, with engage, you're hooking the students. With explore, the student is going through the experiment themselves. With explain, the student is taking what they learned from the exploration and explaining in their own words. Will elaborate, the student is taking their newfound knowledge and kind of applying it to a real life example and explaining that real life example based on what they learned. And then finally evaluate, this is just the students kind of presenting their knowledge through assessments. The teacher is giving the student an assessment, and they're trying to figure out where the students are sitting at in terms of knowledge, who needs more help in this area, who needs more help in that area. Just kind of trying to help the students. And with the 5 E's, like anything else, the student is learning new topics, new applications and stuff. So with the 5 E's, the student is just able to apply their real life experiences into the new topics, and they're able to just kind of form that connection there, and also makes it much more easy to kind of learn about this topic. So, and then dual language, in simple terms, just education program, two languages they're learning. And with more details, this is just an education program where students are taught and majority of the time in English, and then in a native language, their first language. It can be Spanish, it can be French, Mandarin, Arabic. So a lot of different languages that the students can be taught in with English and like a paired language. But most of the time it depends on how many people are available and stuff. And with this program, this allows students to kind of just focus on core academics, the basics, reading, writing, social studies, stuff like that. But for this specific presentation, we're just going to focus on science specifically. All right, and then how to connect my 5 E's and how to connect a science dual classroom. I think there are similarities. I think there are easy ways to kind of sum it all together and kind of tie it together. You know, I think the first thing to keep in mind with in any classroom, obviously, but specifically for dual classrooms, is just kind of keep in mind the students, keep in mind their backgrounds, keep in mind the languages that they speak. Especially whenever you are using the 5 E's, you're referencing previous knowledge. Why not also reference their language? Why not reference their culture? Why not reference overall their background and stuff? You want to keep in mind the students, what they know, their background, their languages, and why not use it to your advantage, obviously. For example, if I was teaching students about landscapes, and I'm in my engage and explore part of my lesson plan, and I'm kind of presenting vocabulary, and I'm teaching in English. I'm talking about hills, I'm talking about rivers, stuff like that. And as I'm listing off these vocabulary words, I'm kind of noticing that there's students that are looking a little bit confused. They're looking at me weird. What is going on? Because of this, first of all, I have to get to the root of the problem, but also once I know what that it is that the students are confused about the word in English, but they do know it in Spanish, I should be able to use that to my advantage and just create a bridge between the student's native language, in this case we'll say Spanish, and English. If I know that, if I the teacher know that hill is the same as colina, why not help the student kind of just create that connection themselves? I could, before the lesson, I could kind of have the words already set up. I could have a chart already made. Once we're going through our engage and explore part, just hang up these charts, one in English, vocabulary words, the other one in Spanish, vocabulary words, and the students are able to kind of obviously create that connection, but they're also learning as they go, because like I said, in dual language classroom, you are learning about content and everything, but you are also learning as you go about Spanish, grammaticals, new words, formal words, and you are also learning in English the grammaticals, like the formal words and stuff like that. So by doing this, I am focusing on like my students, their cultural background and stuff, just trying to create that connection between the words. There are other examples that can be used, you know, whenever they are elaborating, they are using obviously their background once again, oh, landscapes. When I go to Mexico, if a student likes to go to Mexico a lot, when I go to Mexico, I always see hills. Whenever I go to Mexico, I always see like deserts and stuff. Once again, using that newfound knowledge, creating that connection between a real life experience, and then once again elaborate. I think that in Mexico, uh, this and this happens because of that and that. Trying to use the student's background and use it to your advantage, obviously. Another thing that I thought about was that when you're using the 5 E's, you are allowing for inquiry to be made. You're focusing in ways to make it interesting and fun. And for inquiry to work in a way, it allows for the students to just create connections between like the classroom and then real life experiences, and then that real life experience, because of their dual language background, they are going to make that connection, their English part of the world or their native language part of the world. And that's going to allow for the students to just create that like personal connection, that personal touch. You know, how can they learn even more? But yeah, those are my thoughts. That's how I connected to those two. So thank you guys for listening. Good night.